everybody. Welcome to the Free at Last podcast. I'm Mick,
And I'm Tami.
and we're coming to you live from the Appalachian Mountains right here in the home of Eastern Kentucky in the Daniel Boone National Forest. And we're excited about what we're going to be sharing tonight. Something a little bit different tonight. We actually want to share our thoughts and opinions on a movie we just watched over the last weekend. It's called The Blind. It's the latest installment from the Duck Dynasty family. Very good movie. We're going to share about what we liked about it and all that good stuff. But yeah, if you come in, just let us know where you're from. We're glad to see George, the Jesus man, is already in. If you come in, just feel free to chat in the chat room. I'll have Tami watching the chat room to monitor it. And so we can keep up. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
But yeah, we hardly ever go to the movies. And, this was one of those movies that when you see it advertised, it's like, yeah, we felt led to support Christian business and support other ministries. And we came out very, very glad that we did. First thing I want to say, like right off the bat, one thing that was very, very encouraging was even before the movie got started, there was a lot of previews. And sometimes it's like when you go to the movies, it's like, when will these previews ever be over? But I can actually say that watching these previews, it kind of gives you hope because it seems like there's going to be a lot of faith-based entertainment coming down the pipe, and it's forgive me for sounding critical, but like, in my estimation, like a lot of times when you watch Christian movies, like sometimes it's, and obviously like the budget that they have is not, probably won't compare to like Hollywood. So like sometimes you have to use your own imagination, like when you watch a Christian film, because like the budget for sound effects and special effects and all that's just not there. But with this one, they must have had some backers because the sound effects was good. It felt as high quality as any other movie we ever watched, and one thing I can say too, the dramatics of it was really good. If you didn't know any better, you wouldn't know that you was actually watching a faith-based film because it felt like a regular movie. And Sister Tami, if you want to jump in there.
Yeah, I'm over here. But yeah, it was a good movie. It told the life story of Phil and Miss Robertson. And in the movie, you saw a lot of that displayed from their children. More so, I think it's their oldest son and their middle son, Jace, and Willie, the one that was on Duck Commander. He's referenced as a little baby in that movie, but they were a poor family. They came from different sides of the track, so to speak, and the love of the Lord brought them together, because she came from like an upper class, and he came from a poor family in Louisiana, and it showed the differences between them. But her parents, were hoping that she would marry up, and but what she ended up doing was learning a lot from his mother about country life, and she wanted to be a pioneer woman.
And the cool thing that I thought about it too was that one thing I didn't know about their story was when it talked about Phil's mom struggled a lot with mental illness, and I thought it was cool that they brought that out because that's one thing that one of the issues that we hope to shed light on here is like, it's important to take care of yourself, like mentally, physically, and spiritually. Um, and it's interesting to see like how his personality and everything was shaped uh, by the struggles that his mom had, and I thought they did a really good job of not sugarcoating that, because like you know sometimes like with our testimony, it's like some things that like the enemy tries to make us ashamed of. It's important that we share things like that, because like you never know like how many other people is going through the same thing.
And one of the things that they brought out too was mental illness with children in the home. And Phil's brother, Uncle Si, as we know him on the show, um, they watched their mother being taken away in what used to be called a paddy wagon. And so the paddy wagon is like where they would come and take you away to the mental hospitals to be institutionalized. And so they were left behind until like social services came. Can you hear me now, Brother George? Mickey's trying to fiddle with buttons and I'm trying to talk, so okay. So he can't hear me.
So he said it's very faint.
Very faint. There's nothing about me that's faint.
Try it now.
What about now? I'm like really up on the mic. It's probably picking me up from Mickey's mic. Well, I will get over here. Can you hear me better? Okay.
It's weird. It's weird because like on our end, like we can hear each other coming through.
But what I was saying was definitely the impact that it showed with mental illness, with the children seeing their mother being taken away in what used to be called like a paddy wagon. And, they had to wait um, to see if anybody would come and help them. And so it was like they actually had to fend for themselves until she came back home. So that was probably months. And so he learned to be self sufficient and to rely on the woods. And they, didn't go hungry because he was able to fish and hunt. But one of the questions that Uncle Si said that really stuck with me, he was probably 9 or 10, and he asked his brother Phil, he said, with what mom has, will we have that too? And Phil says, I don't know, Si, if it's in our blood or not. And, it's like as the movie goes on, it's like he had that doubt that the enemy placed in his mind, that when he was out in sin and all this turmoil and all this trouble was going on in his life, he thought back to that moment and he thought, is her mental in me? Because it was like he was fighting that. You could tell he was fighting a mental battle. And, he broke past that. And, I want to encourage everyone today that just because it looks like it's generational doesn't mean you have to live like it's generational.
And sometimes you don't know something's dysfunctional just because you haven't been outside of your circle and you haven't seen what normal is, and you get that idea that like what you've been surrounded by is normal. And Yeah, and I thank God that like he has the power to take your not normal and make it normal. Because I'm sure all of us have stories that from things that God has brought us from, that what we thought was normal when He brought us out of. Like when you look back, you think like, my goodness, like how was I ever able to cope in that environment?
And one of the things, and I know George will think this is real interesting, but at that time, Phil was playing football for Louisiana high school, and he had a chance to go pro, and he chose not to because he wanted to live the calm life, so to speak. And so the competitor that he was up against at that time was Terry Bradshaw. And so that was real interesting to see where Terry Bradshaw made it real big, and he chose to walk away from that type of notoriety.
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw was like Phil was actually the first quarterback, and Terry Bradshaw was the next in line. So when Phil had his chance to make it, he actually stepped out of the way and let Terry have it. And I never knew that either. And I thought it was funny. He said that when people ask him about it, he tells people, says, "Well, Terry chased the bucks and I chased the ducks," and he said, "I think we both ended up happy."
But after he had turned down that opportunity, he let his friendships from the past dictate his future in the upcoming years. So it talks about throughout the whole movie that he had a friend named Al, and Al always wanted to call him up and go out partying, and Al always got him in messes and trouble, and at the end of it, he was able to eventually turn Al to the Lord before he passed away. So it came full circle that he was able to witness to his friend, because it was the very time that Al thought he had his hand over on Phil, and he told him no. He turned him down. He said, "I've changed. I'm not like that anymore. The old me is dead. I had to die." And, of course, his friend Al was like, "You had to die? What's going on with you, man?" And so he continued to go hunting with his friend, but he took the boys with him so that they were kind of like his accountability. And the men that he was hanging with didn't want to drink and swarp and stuff with the boys being there, so he ended up eventually turning over his life to the Lord before he passed his friend Al.
And one thing I thought was really cool too, like I thought that they did a really good job of bringing out when he was struggling with his demons, um, before before he um, before he gave his heart to the Lord. They did a really good job of depicting his struggle, because there for a while it came to a point where him and Miss K actually separated, and Miss K actually got a job and was supporting the boys, and Phil just kind of went off in a camper style trailer and just kind of went off in the woods, and you know he was, in a biblical sense, he was almost like the demoniac that had to be left alone, and he was out there wrestling with everything, um, out in the wilderness. And I think they did a really good job portraying that. And another powerful scene is when, I think it was Uncle Si that brought the boys to him, and it's a good reminder that when you're in a lost situation, sometimes you don't realize like how far that you don't realize how far you've slipped or how far you've gone. But when Uncle Si brought the boys to him, um, he he reached out to give him a hug, but they were so afraid of him because he wasn't the man that they remembered. He changed so much, and that like pricked his heart where they was like actually afraid to hug him. And I thought that was really powerful.
And so, he says he one night the struggle was so bad that he saw the devil himself, and that caused him to break, was seeing that demon. And so the minister that his wife had gotten saved under and everything, because she was taking the kids to church, and the minister was able to pray with them and baptize him. And it's like it was for Phil. It was like, this is my last chance to do anything, and I've got to do this. And from that point forward, he lived his life for the Lord. And today they have their little house right on the river, and Miss Kay is a pioneer woman, like she always wanted to be. And so you can share the story of the business.
Yeah, the thing that actually got the duck call thing going. Once he came back trying to reconcile with Miss Kay, they didn't actually have their financial footing down yet, and at the church they had their Christmas tree up, and one of the kids got one of those flutes that had a
slide whistle.
Yeah, slide whistle, and he got to looking at it, and he started getting ideas. Like God started working with his mind, and so he took that slide whistle apart, and he started thinking about the anatomy of a duck call, and that's where he got the idea of how to enhance the duck calls. And he started making his own duck calls, and as the world says, the rest is history. But yeah, we would highly recommend, like, if you're definitely looking to be inspired or need to be uplifted, that would definitely be a good movie to watch. And like I said, there was some things that advertised that I can't remember the names of it now, but like it, I think there's some things coming out around Christmas time that look pretty interesting. And
there was a modern day Christmas, Mary and Joseph coming to Jerusalem, or to Bethlehem, and it was kind of like a musical, but the music was really good that was being displayed.
Yeah. So if you get a chance, whether it's if you can still catch it at your local theater, go support Christian ministries, and you will be blessed by it. And it'd even be good too, like if you catch it on whatever you stream it on, because I'm sure it won't take too long to get to the Netflix and all that.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. We have an exciting topic that we're studying on and thinking about for next week, and we won't quite reveal it yet, but it will be very interesting, because it's Mickey shot me the idea today, and I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. So we'll study on it more and bring it forth next Tuesday.
And pray that we get this sound figured out. We're back to square one again. But we shall overcome. Alrighty, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we shall catch you in the later. Love you guys.
Love you.